Day type situation where we're going to clean house. That came out like a couple of days later that Jon Daniels is also out, who got kind of elevated, but kind of pushed to the side because it was like he's not running the team anymore. But he got that weird made up role where it's like, you're in the room, you're the executive vice president to the president of the president relations, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, he doesn't have, but he's also been there forever. He was in that Brian Cashman zone where we talked about it, I think, a few months back of like maybe when we were doing the Rangers preview. It's just that like this man's been there forever. He was the youngest GM in baseball when he got the job originally. He constructed a winner right away, bright baseball mind, and then it's just been bad for years and years and years. And they fire Woodward after 4 years, and then a couple days later they're like, all right, I guess we'll just move on from Jon Daniels too. That is really strange order of operations here in Texas. Texas is this low-key dumpster fire that I think are getting overlooked a little bit.
Yeah, and part of it for me too is like I think the Rangers majority owner Ray Davis, I believe that's his name, said that he did want to fire both, and he did fire both, but for whatever reason he just delayed 2 days between Woodward and Daniels. I mean, it seems like even Chris Young didn't know that it was going to be the choice.
Yeah.
I mean, part of me is not surprised because this is very clearly more Young's team now than Daniels is. I mean, Young has been the forward face of it since they hired him. Woodward was obviously a Daniels hire, and it doesn't really make sense, I think, to remove Daniels manager, but then let him just kind of hang on there, twisting in the wind. I mean, he's been there for 20 some years. This may be something where I think ownership just feels like they need a fresh voice of some kind. What's interesting to me is that the way it was framed is that Texas really expected to be, or at least Texas ownership expected this team to be better than it currently is. And there are definitely indications that this team probably should be better than it currently is. Like we've noted when we talked about Woodward getting fired, by Pythagorean record or by runs allowed and runs scored, this team really should be 500 or somewhere around it. Instead, they're about 10 games under. They've had a terrible record in one-run games. Their bullpen has been very bad. But there are legitimate reasons to look at this Rangers roster and think, hey, there's something, if not great here, at least the beginnings of something good, or at least that's the way we saw it. I think it's interesting that Texas ownership is already even thinking a little further ahead of that and being like, hey, we should be better than this, and we're going to try to get better than this. And I think that's probably the thing to be most taken out of this. And also that it's not impossible for this Rangers team to be better next year. I think it's going to require a fair amount of work in free agency and on the trade market and actually being willing to, make some more big spending decisions. But I think as we noted when Woodward got let go, there is talent here. There is young talent here in particular. This farm system is on the up. They got Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker in back-to-back drafts. They're going to get another, I believe, top 15 pick coming out of this draft, if not top 10, or coming out of this season, if not top 10. So I'm not necessarily surprised by it, but I do find the timing of it weird. And I do find the framing interesting of, the Texas ownership really did think this team would be better. And it does make me wonder that, this team can be better and probably should be better, but it does make me wonder what happens if next year we get kind of something similar plays out where Texas is not really a contender, never really gets to be anywhere close to 500, or maybe is 500, but never is really anything more than that. And what that kind of means for the Rangers going forward as they try to pull off this kind of extended sort of skinny rebuild that they have been trying for a bit. The Daniels really kind of tried to make I think that seemed to be the tack he was trying to take for a while, was like, we'll rebuild, but we're not in a teardown kind of way. We're going to do it bit by bit, piece by piece, and just accumulate talent in kind of waves. It hasn't fully worked. I think the pieces are there, but I can at the very least understand too. Like I get the sense that, again, Texas ownership expected this team to be better, and how much better, I'm not sure, but I don't think they expected like 10 games under 500, much closer to last than first in this division. And I think just simply because of that, I think that probably made up ownership's mind in terms of Woodward and Daniels have to go. Because if they can't do better with the pieces that we've given them, and granted, they only gave them so many good players, there's still work to be done in Texas. But I think ultimately, if this team materially, results-wise, is not any different than teams previous, then we need to change something. And I can understand that. I think I can support it. Ultimately, like I mean, it's no skin off my nose if Texas wants to do something different. But ultimately, it doesn't surprise me. I did find the timing weird, though. I didn't really get why that happened. I don't really get why it wasn't just Woodward and Daniels at the same time. But I don't know. Maybe there was some hesitance on Ray Davis's part to go that far, you know, and maybe there was something about letting go of Woodward and about the conversations he had in the wake of that made him decide 100%, okay, we're going to go through with this. Or maybe he just wanted to space it out because he wanted to be in the news 2 times in a week as opposed to 1 time. I don't know. It's weird though. It is a little weird.
We'll see. Jon Daniels still somehow only 44 years old. So that
Yeah, he
man,
got that job basically like out of college, which makes me want to die. Like, like do yourself a favor and look up how old Twins, or sorry, not or the other, not that Levine, the other member of Minnesota's general manager, front office. Now the name has slipped my head. That's very annoying. Thad Levine and Derek Falvey, the president of baseball operations, who I believe is still not 40 yet.
There you go. Shout out to him.
He is 39 years old. Like I don't know if I was ever really fully ready to be older than the great majority of baseball players. I'm really not ready to be the same age, if not older, than like general managers. That's so strange to me. And like and this is the thing, like Chris Young is not an old guy either. I mean, his career ended in the early 2010s. So we're talking about a guy who is looking up. He's only 43 years old. You know,
John, we're old enough where it's not weird for us to be group of 5 head football coaches.
Oh man, that's so bizarre. You and I are like at this point too old to be like coordinators.
Yes, we're right there where it's like, it's kind of like one of those things where you're like, what are you doing,
like in their early to mid 30s.
Mm-hmm. Oof.
Oh, that is so bizarre.
Getting old, man.
On that gray hair inducing note.
Our last thing I wanted to touch on real quick, the Cardinals, who are having a blistering August, now running away with the AL Central, is the Brewers, who were kind of weird sellers and had one of the weirder under the radar trade deadlines. Josh Hader, who is now like just really not
terrible.
Doing
it turns out they were right about Josh Hader. So
yeah, I mean that a rare depth.